Welcome to Leaving Crazy Town with Finn and Sarah. Today, we're going to talk about sex.
Sex and codependency, or sex and addiction, either, both.
Yeah. I don't know. I know I'm sober now, and sex is very different.
It's very different. And why we're talking about sex today is because there's many arenas in which codependency manifests. And we were talking earlier that in the sexual arena, codependency can be rampant. Because why? Because the base of codependent behaviors, or behaviors I do when I don't really want to do them, even though I may not even know it, is because I'm afraid. So I'll give you an example. Say a woman is about to be sexual with her new boyfriend for the first time. But there's a lot of fear oftentimes about, are they going to think I'm attractive? Are they going to like my body? Am I giving the right type of, what? Am I, doing it right? Am I pleasing them? Am I touching the right areas? So all these fears manifest in this kind of like crazy town in our heads rather than direct communication. So fear directs the behaviors. The woman is not even thinking about, geez, where am I at? It's what do they want? Which is what crazy town is, right? Go ahead.
Yeah. I was thinking about, earlier we were talking about the two ways that I view sex.
Yes.
One is like plumbing, and the
Yes.
other is sexual intimacy.
Yes.
And the plumbing scenario could be with somebody or without. I just need to get off and move on.
Absolutely.
Where intimacy is wrought with all sorts of fear.
A whole different ballgame.
Sense of fear since I got sober. Like, being with women, and sometimes women give you a lot of feedback, so you know what's happening, and sometimes they don't. And they're like, where I just show up pretty much ready. If you say hello, I'm like, yeah. Where I've also been taught by women in my life that that's not necessarily.
Slow it down, back it up.
Yeah, back it up.
Back it up a little.
Need more foreplay. But then I'm like, I don't even know if the foreplay is working sometimes, because I can't tell. I'm not getting any communication. And then, of course, like, am I going to be able to give them an orgasm?
Right.
Are they really attracted to, all this kind
Everything.
of craziness. And what does it say about me if they're not getting aroused? Right. And I'm not getting an arousal signal. They don't have an orgasm. They don't, whatever. And it could be nothing to do with me.
Yes.
Most likely isn't.
Which is the crazy part. Right.
Yeah. But my head's all caught up in fear around being a failure.
And that's just so amazing. Think about that. Here you're in this intimate situation with someone, and where are both people? In their heads, worried about what's happening, worried about, am I doing the right thing? Worried about how is the person responding? So that's why we were really thinking about this arena, because the other thing is, okay, this is tough to talk about. Women or men doing things, number one, they don't want to, or number two, I've known a lot of women over the years, patients over the years, that have sex when they don't want to. Now, again, there's a continuum. If you're married a long time and maybe you give and take, and I'm sure there's certain specific experiences. But if you get into a theme of having sex when you don't want to, that's going to freaking eat at your soul.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Okay,
I can say this, for as much as I probably want to have sex all the time, and but I don't want to have sex with a woman who doesn't want to. I'd rather know the truth and work through, yes, I may feel personally rejected, but I also know that that's not really about me. So the emotional response could be all that past stuff we talk about when we look at what's underneath: abandonment, fear that they don't care about me, fear I'm not good enough. Like, all those things could be at play.
Yes.
But reality is, when I love someone and I'm in a place where I want to have sexual intimacy, I want them to want to be with me, and I want them to be able to tell me the truth.
Yes.
And if they don't want to, I want to be able to honor that. If I'm aroused and I need to deal with it, I can just deal with that. Like,
yes,
it's that simple. It's when I tell myself that their desire to not have sex or not like a particular thing I'm doing, if I tell myself it's about me, that's when it becomes an issue. So guys, it's not about you.
Right. Right.
You can tell yourself it is, but look at what's underneath. It really isn't. It's about how they're feeling, and that needs to be honored.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the whole thing too. Codependency recovery is all about identifying your feelings, being able to speak your feelings, being able to know what you're feeling, and being able to share it. And for some reason in the sexual arena, people I've known over the years are terrified in this arena to speak up. It could be because you're naked. I don't you feel vulnerable.
Well,
it could be a bunch of things.
The other thing could be, I've seen this dynamic play out, and unfortunately I've done it, but I'm aware of it today, is when you encourage the person you're with to speak their truth and then you punish them for it.
Oh,
so, if they say, hey, I don't like to give oral sex.
right.
And then you're like, oh, that's fine. I want to know this. But then you spend the next month, year, day punishing them for having that feeling, or trying to convince them why it's a good idea to do it.
God,
so now,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes, that's huge.
It's really important that if you want to be in a relationship that's open and honest, that you honor what they're saying and you reward your partner for being open and honest with you. Don't punish them.
Yes. And the killer is, and we're going to wrap this up in a little while, is that it's honoring. This is the thing. You have choices. So if you're with someone or start dating someone that doesn't like certain things, you have to decide, is this relationship going to work out? Because the thing to me is, if both people like a certain thing and they both feel okay with it, great. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're not hurting each other or hurting yourselves. But that's up to you. That's a whole other episode, I just realized, because that's another topic. But really, it's about knowing what you want and speaking up for what you want. So what are we going to say is the tool? We always give a tool at the week, and we're just giving a little overview of the sexual arena and how it can happen. The other thing that we'll talk about at some point is a lot of people avoid sex. A lot of people are married. I know lots of people that are married but don't have sex anymore, and don't even talk about it. That's the other thing, that the sexual act is used, like you were just saying, as punishment. That is used by both men and women. And again, if two people decide, look, we're done with that part of our relationship, we're okay with it, that's great. But again, I believe if you don't talk about this stuff, it's going to manifest in other ways. I always say affairs are just a symptom.
Get on the same page.
Get on the same page with your partner. And if you're not, try to take a little step towards communicating or identifying what your fear is why you can't.
That's what the tool is this week.
Yes.
Pay attention, try to recognize and how you're feeling. Are you doing something you don't want to do? Is there something that needs to be said? You don't have to do anything about it. We just want you to try to get in touch with how you're truly feeling.
Yes. And part 2, is there a fear that really comes up when you're starting to move towards a sexual experience with your partner? And what is that fear about? Okay, so we always say this, the 2 tools, just notice and do nothing. So this is an easy channel.
Do nothing.
We love you. We're leaving CrazyTown. Fasten your seatbelt.